When I was 14, I took my father's camera to make a home movie with my friends. I wanted to capture those cherished moments of my simple-minded years and share them with my kids and grandkids. I didn't know what I was doing. I just pointed the camera and pressed the record button. Whatever happened, happened. There was no cell phones or social media. Back then, we was outside. But this was Brooklyn in the 90s, and being outside wasn't always the safest place to be. This was the year that I realized that Brooklyn wasn't just a borough. It was a whole adventure.
Man, let me get that camera out of people's face, man.
Put my camera down. It's no plaything.
That's the trailer of the new independent film short, Juvey D Ant. This week, we spotlight a man of many talents and passions, Wendell Moore. Born and raised in the heart of Brooklyn, New York, and now a proud resident of New Jersey. Wendell isn't just any independent filmmaker, he's a beacon of light in his community, a workforce professional, and a fervent advocate for youth development services in communities of color. As we close out celebrating Black History Month, Coach Tony Thompson and I welcome filmmaker Wendell Moore to the Interludes Extra Talk on Tuesdays platform to discuss his recent film festival admissions, the actor and narrator Terrance Copeland, and Moore's longtime friend and producer Jon Calvert. Let's get started learning the film journey of Wendell Moore with Juvey D Ant. I'm Val the Voice Johnson, and this is the Interludes Podcast. The Interludes Podcast,
a Pure Lighthouse production. This episode is brought to you by
A DJ Saved My Life, the latest upcoming book by Val the Voice Johnson. To experience a preview of the book, please visit our website today.
And now, all the way from the south side of Chicago, give it up for your host, Val the Voice Johnson.
Oh my gosh. So speaking of filmmaking, how important that is, Coach. We have a filmmaker and former actor here among us, and I'm very grateful that he got a chance to go ahead. His daughter was one of our sponsors, I want to say about a year ago. And I knew eventually I wanted to have him on to talk about what he's got going on. I started to look on Facebook and see that he was promoting his short film. And I said, oh, you're promoting it and you put it in film festivals? He said, yeah. I said, would you like to come on and talk about it at the beginning of the year? He said, sure. And so this was someone that I've met through a mutual friend of mine. We have done some professional things together. He has hired me to do professional filming and photography for him when I was living in New York. Great person and friend. I definitely want to make sure that I give a shout out to our guest, one of our guests. It is our filmmaker. It is Wendell Moore. Welcome.
Brother Wendell Moore. Let's give it up. Hey, Brother Moore, you sitting here with Val, the voice, Coach Tony on Interludes Talk on Tuesday. They come here. We in 2024 where we're going to give you more. Just like Brother Wendell Moore. Yeah, I like how that go, baby.
That's right.
I like how that go. Happy New Year, brother. How you doing?
My last name's working again.
There you go.
Listen,
hey.
I'm good. Thank you so much. I'm honored to be here with y'all and appreciative of this opportunity to talk to y'all and to talk about Juvey D Ant, the little film that could. And this is such a remarkable project, and I just thank God for the opportunity to talk about it. So how y'all doing?
We're doing great. Yeah, we're doing great. I want to make sure that I get a chance to show the trailer, but before I do, I like Roxanne said, more encouragement.
Hey, Hey, we all
Roxanne,
need more than that.
what's good, Roxanne?
Right, Roxanne.
That's right.
But
That's right.
on that, Brother Moore, as you do that, what I liked about it, and as Val pulled the trailer together, what I thought was really cool was the realism. And I want to talk a little bit about that, of what was in the mindset of filming, because as you say, you're sitting in Brooklyn in the hood, and nobody wants you to be signing no camera in their face, right? That's just how it goes. That's you with a camera in their face and trying to do that back in the day. That's like soft snitching, right? So as you were doing this and you were trying to get Juvey D Ant, what were kind of like the makeup on your mind, the characters that you were trying to portray with this?
Well, I wanted, I'm one of these filmmakers that believes that we have to own our own voice and we have to own our own narrative. And what better way to do that than to put the camera in the hands of the subject? And, you and I could go on TV right now, and if I say find a story about young, brown and black boys out here in the street, what are the stories going to be? And most of them are going to be drugs, violence,
hip-hop,
all kind of crazy stuff that's out here. The top shows that are featuring brown and black young people have these things in it. And my thought is, what if we saw what they saw from their point of view? And so the point was to put the camera in a young person's hands, 14, 15 years old, and just let them go out into the community and shoot things. Now, yeah, you're right. You could get beat down badly pointing that camera in the wrong face, but you can also discover something beautiful.
Yes.
If you're seeing what they're seeing and you see what's important to them, and it has nothing to do with all those other narratives that are out there about these young people. You'll get to see the real things that they're interested in. And a lot of that, we can identify with, because when I was 14 or 15, those were the things that were important to me. I saw everything from, there were things I was interested in. I wasn't interested in, trying to do a lot of this like fake gangster stuff and all that other stuff. There was other things that was important, even if it was just trying to figure out how to raise money to get, a new pair of like Converses or something, whatever it is. But it wasn't, it wasn't that. And so I was hoping that the spirit of that would be in this film. So yes, we wanted it to be from the point of view of a young person. Someone said something a long time ago. They said, if you are working with toddlers and you're trying to devise safety units around them, you can't look down at them from an adult point of view. You got to get on the ground and see what they see from their point of view. And that was really kind of the genesis of saying, put the camera in these young people's hands and let them do it. And so that's what we got. And yes, there's some risk. There's definitely some risk. You point at the wrong person, you ain't going to be pointing that camera no more. But
exactly. You know how that goes.
Also that night. That's right. So it's naivety, it's innocence, and it's adventure. All of that stuff wrapped up in one.
We have guests in the building with us, the virtual building with us, our narrator, Terrance Copeland, and then, of course, one of the producers of it, Jon Calvert. Welcome to Talk on Tuesdays. Welcome, guys. How are you all doing today?
I'm doing all right. Thanks for having me. How's everybody?
Hey, thank you guys for showing up, man. I mean, again, I was telling Wendell, man, we push this show to the limits and bring out, some of the things that a lot of people haven't heard about and try to present those, so man, we appreciate you guys popping up here on this 2024 as we about to go.
He's trying to make sure that he rhymes everything with 2024. I get it. Now, here's the thing. There was a small film shot in Brooklyn called Just Another Girl on the IRT. And hopefully this was Wendell. He played Mr. Moore in the film. and I have my question to you, sir, and working with this film, and this was back in the 90s when this happened. You've had a rich journey from acting in this film, and now you're going to be directing. You're directing Juvey D and Ant. What inspired this transition from acting to filmmaking, and how have your experiences as an actor influenced your approach as a director?
Well, first of all, shout out to Leslie Harris. She was like one of the first to do it. She's truly a queen in the annals of independent filmmaking, particularly back then. If you remember, all the films back then were about boys in the hood, menace to society, but there was no real films about what was going on with young women. And so she went out, and did what she had to do to raise money. And she put this film together. We have mutual friends in the industry, and I got tapped on to be involved. I was the principal in the film, and school principal, and she just allowed me to do my thing, and it was just a great experience. Miramax picked it up. It went on and made good money, and it really was prominent in touching the hearts and minds of young ladies back in the day. I mean, I speak to people now, adult women who saw this film, and they said this was their favorite film, coming up as a teenager, that this spoke to them because, it was about real issues. Right. So for me, she inspired me because I wanted to get involved in making films. And after this experience, I said, you know what, I'm going to do this. So Jon and I hooked up. Jon and I go way back. He's a brilliant writer and collaborator that I've worked with for over 30 years. And we came up with the story concept for Juvey D. And initially it was supposed to be kind of a mockumentary of some young man, because, I was sick and tired of looking at all these boys in the hood films. They was all in California. I said, nah, Brooklyn is hard. Let's make our own film. We got boys in the hood right here on Fulton Street in Nostrand. So,
exactly.
We're going to do this here in Brooklyn. And so, we came up with this script, and it was kind of like following this young man who was like 14. He was homeless. He was really kind of out in the street doing whatever it took to make it, whether I was robbing people or whatever. And we thought it was a great script. And at that time, my wife was working at HBO. So she found someone in HBO that would read the script and who was a top executive kind of person just to give us some tips. And I was excited. I gave the script to her on a Friday, and on Monday she picked it up. And she said this was the worst script she ever. It was horrible. It was stereotypical. It was the kind of thing that HBO would not touch with a whole... so my heart was broke. I felt terrible. But what it did, it made me say, well, let me reinvent the structure of what we're doing. Instead of doing something that's kind of, in this documentary kind of structured style, let's just go freestyle. And let's give the camera to a young man and let him, to our character, the lead character, and let him tell the story. So that's how it went. So we were in the Clinton Hill, Fort Greene area back in those days. And that was like one of the hottest places to be in culturally. Mm-hmm. We had Spike Lee opened up a shop over there. Wesley Snipes lived in that area. Robin Harris, God rest his soul, lived down the block. All of these people converged in this one little small space. And that energy was so important to me because at that time I had a video store that I was working in, and you just felt that it was palpable. You could feel that energy all around you, creative energy everywhere you went. And I wanted to be a part of that. So we shot this thing. Most of the casting was done at the video store counter. Just customers that would come in and, I said, you'd be great in this film. Have you acted? No, none of them acted. Nobody acted, But, we just saw that these would be the faces and the personalities we'd like in the film. I was blessed to get one great actor, the actor that plays the father.
Yeah, he did a great job.
And I have to tell you, we were blessed to have him. You know, he was a pioneer back in the 80s and 90s. He got a lot of leading roles in commercials on television and stuff. He's been in movies with Jack Nicholson. He's been in movies with Harrison Ford, Presumed Innocent, and all these other like top films. And so he read the script. You know, I put a small script together. He loved it. He said he'll do it, and he just blessed us. So you know, we were fortunate to have at least an anchor on that level in the project. But everybody else were first-time actors, no real skill, but a lot of passion. They took direction well, and we just, you know, just went out there and did it. You know, no permits, no nothing, just shoot and get the hell out of Dodge. You know? After we shot it, I was excited, and we had a couple people that were going to edit it for us, but that fell through. So I put all the tapes in a bag, and I said, when we're ready, we'll do it. And that wait was like over 20 years. I put the bag of tapes in the garage. I moved out of Brooklyn. I moved to Jersey. And I forgot about the film, and I forgot about the project. I did have one person that was in the film, a good friend of mine, who kept nagging me, when you going to finish this film, bro? It's been years. And I said, well, we have it, and when it comes time to doing it, I'll do it. And I thought I lost these tapes because of all the moves that we made. And I found it 3 years ago. I saw the tapes there. I went through all of them. I transferred them, got them all digitalized, and I taught myself how to edit. And fortunately, you know, I found Terrance, and I said, I need a narrator to string it and pull it together. And I wrote the script. I gave it to Terrance. He blessed us with his wonderful narration, his spirit, and capturing the essence of the story.
We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors.
Newsflash. Val the Voice Johnson is currently one of the lead moderators on the platform The House of Creativity on Clubhouse. She can be heard leading the THOC news team with Latino, wellness, and entertainment news that you can use to peruse your daily life. Join us every Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern in the House of Creativity. Become a member of the House of Creativity on Clubhouse today. And now, back to our show.
So that's T talking to everybody on everything.
Right,
okay,
right.
I like that,
yes,
you know.
Yeah,
and that's funny. That's funny you say that, because Val, I get what Wendell was saying, Val. Over the holidays, I was searching and doing some searching, cleaning up. And boy, I found some cassette tapes. My son, some good.
There's a question on the floor that said, what kind of tapes were there? But before you answer that, Wendell, I'd love to hear from Jon and Terrance. Jon,
right?
How did you and Wendell come together doing this film? Were you around during the beginning of when he started the project?
I actually got to know Wendell from being a member of his video store, and we talked, and we were part of a community of people there that really, some people hang out in a bar. We hung out in the video store and just talked all the time, and wasted a lot of time there. But we connected, and one day he said, hey, why don't you come out and sit beside me behind the bar? And we really sat and talked, and that's how I ended up getting engaged in the project. The answer to the question, they were high 8 tapes, and thank goodness they survived over the time. And back in the day, it was really a very exciting time in this community, and I'm still living here. And I think Nelson George made a movie called Brooklyn Bohème, which was all about all of the activity in this part of Fort Greene back in the early 90s. I would just say that ultimately we actually shot in 13 different locations and had a cast of over 60 people. And then we had this tape, this project that was still in search of an ending. And for 30 years, I've lied and carried this on my resume as a film that I completed, but nobody ever asked me for it. But I'm just grateful for the fact that
nobody going to.
Yeah, I'm grateful for the fact that Wendell found these and just wrote such a brilliant narration that really pulled everything together and brought it to some peace after all these years of this unfinished project.
And that transitions to some good questions for Terrance. Tony, what would you like to ask Terrance?
No, I was going to say, I was down the same line you were saying. Hey, T, first of all, you can't take my voice, man, because I got the distinguished voice where people know me from. But listening to that trailer, man, it was so cool. It was kind of like I could feel you sitting in that block. I could feel you sitting on that basketball court. I could feel that guy saying, put that camera down, all that. When you got a chance to get involved, what were your past experiences? And you had already done a little bit of this before Wendell and these guys kind of, brought you on board.
So I haven't necessarily done narration and voiceover acting, I would say, but I am a songwriter and performer. So in terms of using my voice, I've done that for a while. And with this project, one, I'm not seasoned enough to know what high 8 tapes are. So I had to kind of imagine.
Back in the day, back in that reel to reel.
Exactly. So I had to imagine myself in that time and try to feel, like you said, feel me in that area, in that time, in that time period. So I'm just pulling off my experiences with elder people in my life and their stories and try to connect that bridge. So I just try to do that the best that I could. And I'm happy with how it came about. I'm excited for people to start seeing it and seeing how over these many years it's come full circle, as Jon said.
I think that's good, Val.
I know. And here's the thing, because your voice matches, I kind of feel like the age matches the age of the characters, but then a maturity that says, you have to remember, this is when we were outside. And I'm thinking with that knowledge of what we had gone through with the pandemic. And so I'm grateful. Now, here's the thing. How many tapes did Wendell make you watch in order to, get a feeling and vibe of doing the narration?
So you want to know what's interesting? And I don't know if he was going to talk on this, but I actually did the narration for these pieces without seeing any footage.
What? Wow.
So it was only a film.
That's like feel your way through a dark room.
So the first time I actually saw any footage was the end of last year when it was featured in the film festival. So that was my first time seeing any of the footage. So we were working on it well over about 2 years, I think, going back and forth, picking it up, putting it down at times. But like I said, I just tried my best to put myself in that position, in that role as that individual, as if this was my life, and knowing what I've known about New York and hip hop was honestly the common thread, I think, because I'm a hip hop artist and I'm a hip hop head. I'm a student first, so I use that to try to bring that character to life. Especially,
I think you did a great job. Great job. Mm-hmm. And if you say, because you're talking to Coach Tony and the DJ, so I got to ask you if that's the case on the hip hop side of the house, when you're looking at a movie and something that Wendell and George produced, and they're looking at that, what kind of old school hip hop artists? Because I also got a vibe from New York, family up, on the Harlem side of the house in Washington Heights area. But when you're thinking about New York, and I'm looking at this, I think Wendell put it real good. When I think about back in the day, if I'm gonna picture something, the first thing I'm picturing is Do the Right Thing. Second thing I'm thinking about is, the rap battles in the park with Slick Rick, and Dana Dane, and those guys, Dougie Fresh. So when you were looking at that and you're trying to put this in the characters in your head and you're going back, say, I got to feel this, like Val, I got to feel the night. This is when we were outside. What kind of hip hop artists were you kind of thinking about back in the day that kind of moved you to that?
First and foremost, I'd definitely say Nas, because when you think of the character,
my man, I like you already.
Nas is, for me as an artist, as a hip hop artist, Nas is one of my favorite artists. I would say
true lyricist.
That's inspired me. But when you think about his lyricism, it's cinematic.
Yes.
Tells the story and it establishes the setting. So with that, with Nas being such an elder statesman for me as a student in hip hop, I utilize that approach with the story to think about, especially at that time in the 90s, when you're outside in New York City, it's just exposure. So you're learning outside while you're learning outside. So you have to figure out on the fly. So that's where a lot of the emotion comes from the character, in terms of, I learned sometimes when you're outside, certain areas aren't the safest space to be, but you have to learn that in real time. So it's really experience being your teacher, and you're learning yourself while you're learning your environment. So Nas, I channeled a lot of Nas. That's the number one artist, but I'm thinking about Big, I'm thinking about Hov, I'm thinking about Mos Def, I'm thinking about artists like this in terms of how you have different characters and different identities and temperaments that you run into outside as well. So
Sure. Go ahead, Val.
And here's the thing. I think the narration, as it's been stated before, kind of brings everything together.
Can I just add something to that?
Of course.
Terrance hits on a great point. The spirit of the film is based on the spirit of the music and the times of the 90s. And that was important that came across, because that was a different frequency of music, back then. Well, it was an exciting, challenging time where you felt the birth of a new musical movement was happening. And we wanted to, to create that. Like, I have old school R&B, early hip hop ears. I don't have ears that really hear the kind of music that's out now, but I know that it affected us differently back in those days.
Right.
The music, was freeing, a lot more freeing, a lot more freedom was, in the spirits of these young people. I felt, this is me, I might be dead wrong, but I think it was important that the music kind of reflected that, the way people moved, the way young people moved back then. It was a little different. And I thought Terrance captured that in his voice, and hopefully we captured that in the way, we portrayed the young people, and even the music that was added on. We had a good score of music from producer Steady Making, who is a young man who's doing some incredible things. And he captured the spirit of that era as well.
He did, I liked how things kind of wrapped toward the film, because I ended up seeing the additional edit that's going to be traveling around with you. And the other question I have, you're a consultant. You work more training services, and you've worked with various organizations throughout your career. It's ever since Just Another Girl. How do you balance your professional commitments with your passion for filmmaking? And has your consulting work influenced your storytelling?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so balancing it is easy. A lot of the work that I do is, I have two loves in my life. I have three loves. Writing, directing, working with young people, and training. And they all converge. And they all, really feed me as a professional and as a creator. So it's no problem. I find time, I make time. A lot of the editing and preparation of this happened during the pandemic, so it was almost like, I was given a space to do this, when nothing else was going on. A lot of the consulting work I did, all of it I did was virtual. So, it was easy to make time at home to put time into learning how to edit and editing the film and transferring all the tapes and finding music and all the other stuff. So
the question I got to ask T, and you're right. Hey, Illmatic, by far. Ever produced.
I know, and John no. Yeah, do you like hip hop, John, or do you have any favorite artists?
I was listened to Rapper's Delight when it first came out, and it was a shock in the world, and so I've been following it over the years. But I'm back there with the Birthday Party Gang and all the early Kool and the Gang stuff, but I love music of all kinds, but definitely the arc of hip hop has really been the defining thing of our time, and you can see just the conversation, the way this it's captured the whole history of this country in the last 50 years. Wendell is like an extraordinary worker with young people. And it started off even when he was in his store. He worked with the young people in the community, started a basketball team, and has connected with them through his whole life. So he's a very artistic person, as you can see, but he also That's a tremendous empathy toward and dedication towards improving the lives of young kids of all stripes. And he's really done a fantastic job of that in his life.
I have to say, during that time, it was a great creative, period for me to complete the film, or at least get it into a 80 to 90% place where we can say, hey, this could do something. And it's been doing something. We've entered it into about 18 festivals. We've submitted to the American Black Film Festival, which is going to be hosted by Issa Rae this year for HBO.
Yeah.
And we're hoping that, they give us some love as a short entry. And there's been so many others. And our history has been pretty good. I mean, we've placed 2 semifinals and 3 finalists. And this is against international films from Japan, Australia, everywhere, New Zealand, South America. We're at a 75% selection rate in our festival entries, and I'm really, really proud about that. So we're looking forward to what the future holds.
To see the entire interview with Wendell Moore, Jon Calvert, and Terrance Copeland, please visit our Interludes YouTube channel. The Interludes Podcast.
Original concept by Valerie Johnson.
Interludes Extra Talk on Tuesdays sports segments produced by Tony Thompson.
Original intro and outro music produced by Kendall Nesbitt.
The Interludes Podcast, a pure Lighthouse production.
This episode is brought to you by
A DJ Saved My Life, the latest upcoming ebook by Val the Voice Johnson. To experience a preview of the book, visit our website today. Ebook copies release March 5th.
To subscribe to our YouTube channel or join Interludes Facebook group, visit the website linktree/PeerLightMedia. That's linktr.ee/PeerLightMedia.